All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I'm going to pass over now to Farmer Renata. Take it away, Farmer Renata.
Hi, I'm Renata. I'm a dairy farmer in southwest Victoria, and I'd like to pay my respects to the Guwurrung people who are, from where I am in southwest Victoria, and I am near the 12 Apostles. Some of you might know the 12 Apostles on the Great Ocean Road, and it's very close to where I live. So we have a dairy farm, and it's hilly farm, lots of hills. We get lots of rain, we get lots of wind. But that's really good for us to help grow lots and lots of grass to feed our cows. So we have 430 cows on our dairy farm, and they get milked twice a day, every single day, 365 days a year. Even on Christmas Day, we still have to milk our cows. So we milk our cows at about 5 in the morning when I'm sure you're tucked up in bed having a good sleep. And then we milk them again at about 3 o'clock when you're probably getting out of school. So they get milked twice a day. They walk in from the paddock, they come into the dairy, and in the dairy, we give them a feed of grain. It's a little bit like muesli at breakfast time. And they love the grain. There's things like corn and barley and wheat in there. And we also put some minerals, a bit like having your vitamins, that's really good for them. And then they go out of the dairy and they go into a paddock, and they get a new paddock every time they've been from the dairy. And they go out into the paddock and we give them fresh grass, which they graze. And at different times of the year, we have to feed them extra food. So, as you might know, in summer, things get a little bit drier. And so we often feed them some things like hay or silage, it's just grass that we cut in the springtime when there's lots of grass. And then we put it in a big round bale. It's huge. It's about as tall as me. And we get a tractor to pick it up and take it out to the paddock, and we roll it out in the paddock, and they love it. Sometimes they get all jumpy and skippy around the paddock, getting all excited about their hay and silage. So that's, a typical day it just starts with us milking the cows twice a day and making sure that they have enough grass and hay and silage to eat. On top of that, we also do lots of other things. And so every year our cows have calves, little baby calves, and they live in a shed, a nice cozy warm shed with sawdust and straw on the ground to keep them warm and comfortable. And we take them milk and grain and straw for them to eat every day. And they stay in this cozy shed for about 2 months. And then they go out in the paddock, and you see them, and they run around and they skip and they jump and they get all excited. And we have to then look after them every day until they're ready to have a calf and join the herd and start being milked. And that's usually at about 2 years old that they join our herd, which is really fantastic. So we look after all of our young animals, and we have about 280 young animals, and that's anywhere from a day old, and we had some calves born this morning. So we've got some really new babies on our farm all the way through. So from about day old to about 2 years old, we've got about 280 of those animals. So we've got, nearly 700 animals on our farm. Plus we have 3 dogs who help us bring all of the animals into the shed when we need them to. We also do lots of other things. We're on tractors all the time, going and moving things around. We do fencing. We've got to make sure all of our fences are straight and strong to make sure that the animals can stay where they need to be, and have access to the grass that they need to have every day. There's lots of other things. We're always cleaning things, making sure everything's nice and clean, because when we're making a food product. So dairy becomes a food product. So we need to make sure we keep everything nice and tidy. So then let me tell you about how the milk gets from the cow to your fridge. So we have, every day when we milk the cows, we put on what we call cups. And they're these metal things that go on. I think Jane might even have some photos. We have these things called cups.
Let me share that for you right now.
That'd be great.
Have a look.
So we have these things called cups that we put on the udder of the cow. And well, that's the one of me with those 3 dogs that I was talking about. There we go. That's the photo of me putting the cups on, and you'll see those metal things. We pop that onto the cow's udder. She's got 4 teats, so we have 4 cups that we pop on there. And then there's can you see that big silver pipe above my head that's running all the way down? Yep, Jane's putting a pointer on it. Thank you. That takes the milk all the way back to the vat. And we have this enormous vat, and that's a big steel container, and we fill it up with milk. And it would be the size of maybe your bathroom or kitchen at home. Like it's pretty big, and we fill it up with milk. And then the tanker, so there's a truck with an even bigger vat on it, and it comes to our farm every second day, and it sucks all of that milk out, and it puts it in its truck, and it drives it to the factory, and that happens every second day. And when it gets to the factory, it then gets turned into dairy products. So our milk gets turned into 2 things. It gets turned into bottled milk, and it gets turned into butter. That's what our factory makes. But there's lots of other factories in the region and across Australia that make other products that you probably eat all the time, like cream and ice cream and cheese. I'm sure you probably love cheese on your pizza or in your sandwiches. Lots and lots of cheese gets made. And all of the dairy that we produce, all of the milk we produce gets consumed by Australians. So it all stays in Australia. But some milk that's produced in Australia also gets sent to other countries in the world, because not every country has dairy cows. Not every country produces milk. So we like to share what we produce with other countries as well. So yeah, I think we could probably show a couple of the other photos, Jane. So this is a photo of our cows walking. So this is what we call a track, and they are between the paddocks, and they help the cows walk all the way back to the dairy. So you can see where I'm standing taking that photo, and all of the cows are lined up way, way, way in front of me, and they're just walking their way towards the dairy where they're going to get milked. And you can see Benson is the black dog and Mossy is the brown dog there, and they're helping us to bring the cows in. They just really walk along. There's no barking. We're very quiet. It's really important to keep our cows really happy and calm when they quietly walk in. So we like happy cows, because happy cows don't get sick, and we want happy cows. It's important. What other photos have we got there? Oh, this is them eating grass in the paddock. And what you can see there is a white string, and that is an electric fence that helps to keep the cows in different sections of the paddock. Sometimes the paddock is really big and they don't need to eat all of the grass in one go. So we give them a little strip, and then we give them a little strip the next time. And it has a little bit of electricity that runs through it. So if they put their nose on it, it'll go, and it'll tell them to back off, and they go, oh, whoops, and they back away from the fence. So it's a really handy tool for us. And you can see in this photo those big rolling hills, and it's a lovely, lovely place to farm, I think. What else have we got there, Jane?
Let's have a look.
Oh, and there's our doggies. So yeah, the brown one is Mossy. The one in the middle is Frank. He's a very cheeky dog. And then there's Benson. And Benson loves working with the cows and the calves. The other 2 help, but they're probably not as good. But they're working dogs, and we love them very, very much.
All right, we've got one more very, very cute photo to show.
Oh, and this is me with the calves. So these calves would be about a week or 2 old. And you can see how big they are. Did you know that calves can walk as soon as they're born? Who's got a baby brother or sister that doesn't do anything, that just lies on its back? Human babies don't do very much to begin with, but baby calves, they can walk and run straight away. And you can see behind me in the blue container, there's some straw. They love eating the straw. In the green one behind me, that's water. And on the other side, that metal one near the ground, that's got grain in it. And they eat all day long, and they just get bigger and bigger. And they're very, very happy animals. And you can hear them carrying on and jumping around and, chatting to each other. They're very sweet. So what else can I tell you? So we have the breeds of animals that we have are Holsteins and Jerseys. They're the two most common breeds of dairy animals. And the reason that we use them is because they are good at producing milk. Now, there's other breeds of cows that you might have heard of, like Angus and Wagyu and Hereford, and they're really good at producing meat. So it's very different to the breeds we have. So yeah, it's different breeds do different things, and it's important for us to have the right breed of animal when we're being a dairy farm. The other thing that I can probably tell you about is what I do on the farm. So I milk cows, I feed animals all the time, and then I also do some other things which are possibly a little bit less exciting to talk about, but they're very important. So I do things like the bookwork, because we buy a lot of grain and hay and different bits and pieces that our farm needs to operate. And so we have to pay for that. And so we get posted some bills, and then I have to pay them on the bank. So yeah, that's a very important job to make sure we keep everyone happy. And it means that on cold days like this, I get to stay inside where it's nice and warm on the computer.